with the adaptation thing, I mean, first of all, for gigs and stuff, I mean, that's like, you know, you have to just deal with things. And I think a lot of the, what should I be practicing and all these kind of thoughts, like the gig sorts that out. It says, look, it's brutal. It's like, you can't do that. You're worried about this. That went wrong. All these things are like moments to go, okay, take that away. How can I work, you know, problem solving? So over time, I've got certain level of comfort with just discomfort, comfort with discomfort, and just getting through and finding ways of grounding my attention on something else other than my own sound, like the band, and also like Jeff. I mean, Jeff is obviously a legend, but that when he said that, it reminds me of like, well, yeah, if I've got a low saturated tone or something, I'm not going to go for certain things. I'm probably going to actually also play phrases which sound good with that, like cool staccato, kind of quacky sounding phrases. One of my other jobs is reviewing gear for a magazine called Guitar Interactive Magazine, which is an online publication. And I turn up to the studio and there's just pedals and they say, right, review these. And you plug them in. And I've no idea. You just, it's got this. You read the instruction manual quickly, you plug it in, and then you adapt. And my job is, I used to sometimes try and play my style. I don't even know what my style is anymore, if I'm honest, and I'm happy about that. But like, I'd play my thing, and it would always sound terrible, and people, it'd feel awful, it'd feel disingenuous. It's a bit like if I was to start talking Shakespeare right now. It's just not appropriate for
I don't know. I'd probably believe you. I bet you could sell it to me. I bet you could.
I don't know any Shakespeare, but I've got the British accent. You know. But you know, it's like there's a disingenuousness to it as well, and there's also the gear is all part of the, like I was saying about the amp. It's a system. You know, the band is a system, the song is a system, the room is a system. You know, do you need so much reverb in a big room, etc.? Like all these kind of little things. It's just like adapt and change, and you know, and so that's a big part of my playing is adapting.
That's really interesting when you say adapting, because you know, and it's probably will dovetail into one of the big things I want to talk to you about today, which I'll get to. But I wanted, when you say adapt, did you go through a period in your playing and your development where there was an anxiety of like, well, this is what I do, and then when there was a situation where you had to step out of it, were you of the mind to say, well, okay, I'll do this, but I'm going to do it my way? You know, like you say, you would plug into this pedal and you would say, well, let me do what I'm known for currently. We're up to that point maybe. And you felt the gear kind of fighting back. Did you deal with was there a sense of anxiety, or did you just say, oh, I see what's going on here. Like I have to expand what I already am.
Yeah, I mean, it's like imposing my will on the gear never really worked. You know, you know, you another side of this is this. It doesn't sound related, but it is related in my mind here. The Mascajudas thing with the 8-string. You know, my little so-called YouTube time 10 years ago was 8-string, and everyone loved the 8-string stuff I did. And then I suddenly did a video of 6-string guitar, and people were like, "What?" People got angry because I wasn't what they thought I was. But then they didn't know that I've played, because you know, I got given. You know, I was listening to my dad's records of Hank Marvin and the Shadows and stuff. So for me, a Strat and that twangy, you know, clean tone I love that. So there's this whole other. I love music. People say, all musicians say, I love it all, man, and they kind of. But I do enjoy playing music. Hire me for a proper jazz gig and I'll probably disintegrate. Hire me for a flamenco gig, I'll disintegrate. But everything in between, pop, rock, blues, funk, soul, and a lot of soul stuff, metal, hard rock, of course, metal and hard rock is obviously my, you know, there's less resistance in that direction. So obviously if I have something that helps with that, then I'm going to do my best job at it. But it doesn't feel like I'm going into any other mode. It just feels like I'm talking to the room in a different way. You know?
So yeah, you have. I always call this the dialect. You know, there's certain dialects that we have. You know, I've done quite a few jazz gigs and stuff like that, and we had Jimmy Bruno on the other day, and I can read that chart, I can play those changes, but I don't have the dialect. Yeah. No one's sitting there going, yeah, that's a jazz player. They're like, that guy's not a fucking jazz player. You know, I don't have the dialect. So, or I should, because I don't want to say wheelhouse, because I think, you know, you're an educated player, you're a dedicated player, we're dedicated. We could, it's not our wheelhouse. I mean in the sense that when you say rock, pop, metal, soul, funk, there's kind of that was kind of ingrained in us very early on, you know, whereas some of these other forms were, you know, kind of academic. There was a lot of academia attached to that, you know, took us out of, you know, letting the proverbial hair down, if you will. So is that kind of a situation where I had a point to the question, because you said something that really hit me, was getting, I guess, back to that anxiety thing. You had said something about, you know, okay, if you did a jazz gig, you might disintegrate, or a flamenco gig, you know, but anything in between, you feel confident that you could do it and you love it. But then you kind of start to make this name for yourself in the beginning with the 8-string thing. So there's this attachment, this aesthetic, this attachment. Now, all of a sudden, you want to do your thing. Now, how did you deal with that, Sam? How did you, did you go, because I've gone through this where I would get so devastated, where I'm like, okay, what am I doing now? Like, you know, people are like, ooh, what are you doing, man? Why are you doing that? You know? But how did you deal with it?
I think this comes back to this disingenuous thing. I think there's two sides to it. It depends on how, if it's genuine, the change, if it's something that is like, this is real, then people can like it or lump it, and that doesn't even touch me, right? But there was part of me who was like, wait a second, I want to do a 6-string shrapnel thing on top of Masca Judas, and then that kind of leaked out into the kind of, I was doing a lot of soul gigs and R&B gigs at the time. I picked up a few strats and did a few videos of some strats, and people were just like offended. And like,
I find your 6-string stylings offensive, sir.
Literally, maybe a bit more harsh than that. But it's funny how people can have opinions about things and get so. And it's also my opinion of myself, who I think I am, but who I think I am is not. It's never what I think I am, because the truth of that is always changing slightly. It's always, you know, it's my interest. I love. I pick up I got the RG out today. I've got a Strat on the wall. It will change depending on what I've got to do. Now I've become more flexible with that sort of thing. But back then I was a bit like, before I realized this was a thing, when people were saying, "Oh, you're doing something different," there was this big conflict in me, and I was, at the time, I was striving in my career. I was really, but not in a good way. It was very ego-based, kind of fake humility, thinking I was a bit better maybe than I thought I was. A bit of arrogance maybe hidden under the surface there, when there was no need for that, and I had no basis to have any of those sort of feelings. So there was a kind of like, well, I deserve this, and and all this stuff, and I was trying to, you know, just forcing stuff down people's throats. I'm doing this. This is my style, and then when a pedal demo would come up, I'd take my 7-string, and it was all a bit. There was just so much, you know, circles and squares. Just nothing was fitting. And my whole journey now is just relaxing into what is, in terms of what you know, at the moment I've got projects, gigs come up, companies, opportunities come up. If nothing's happening, I know to sort of drop something in the pond and see if it grows, you know, to see what happens. And those jobs are just jobs. And when I say jobs, even my own personal playing, it's just hats. It's it's different selves basically, but they're all me, but they're not
What
me. So it's kind of letting go of that and not let because if someone says, "Oh, I want you to," I get people saying, "When will it come out again?" And it will come out again.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do it because people want me to do it necessarily. I've got nothing new to say with it currently.
It's kind of like just actually listening to the universe, and whatever's coming your way, let it be what it is, instead of trying to mold it into something that you think it's supposed to be. I think that's just a concept that people in general just need to understand in life. It's like, hey, I know you wanted to go down that road, and that was your plan, but it's great to design towards it, but you might never get there, and that's fine too.
But that's a great point. And what I found in my experience is actually when I let go to the process, I get better than what I wanted. I get surprises and things I never would have dreamed of happening. I didn't expect to work at Lick Library when I was watching Lick Library videos all those years ago. I didn't expect to join certain bands or work with certain people. And my career isn't super fancy. It's not like I'm doing anything particularly amazing, but I'm genuinely excited and grateful for the opportunities I've had and I'm currently working on, and the people I know. And the big one is people. Like, no matter all this playing and all this stuff, it's sharing time in the van and on stage with people, in the studio with people. And that's where life happens. It happens in all the cracks, in between all these so-called big moments. And actually, it's those moments that you get the most kind of gratification from playing. It's and the musical journey, aside from making music, of course. I'm just saying that. So it's when I let go of that, that seems to be the way. Like you were saying, Tony, it's you get out of the way of your own goodness, and you just let it happen.
Yeah.
That's not to say though, like let go of the wheel and just free. Like you said, you got to have.
You have to have a little bit of a direction. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What was the catalyst for that change in you when you were, so the ambition had crept into kind of where maybe you weren't seeing the forest for the trees, or this kind of this dark sense of what your ambition was. Was there a particular thing that happened, or was this a gradual, or was there one thing that you were like, okay, wait a minute?
There's a load of gradual things in there. I guess it's life, it's the story, and I guess the story will always keep on changing the older I get and so-called wiser. I don't know if that's true, but as I look back and I go, oh, that was that, and that means this, but actually at the time it was just what it was, and whether it's good or bad, I'm still here. That's the main thing. And of course, I speak quite openly about mental health and music, and I'd never say that my situation was bad compared to, I'm sure we all know somebody that's taken their lives, or something horrible's happened on the road. All this, these losses happen because in any job or any career, anything where you put yourself into it in a way where this guitar equals me.
Yeah.
And it's not me. It's just a part of this culmination of flesh and bone and process and memory, which is Sam. And it's amazing that we're even here. But a few things happened. I was so obsessive with practice. I couldn't not practice. Not one day. Even my relationships, my friends, my partner, my family. I couldn't talk to people about anything but my guitar playing. I would be bored. I would be literally not able to talk to people because I was worried about getting back to playing or with a guitar in my hand. And there were moments when big family occasions. My family went to Thailand many years ago. We were very lucky to go over there as a family gathering over there, and I decided to take my guitar. I had to take my guitar. It was just going to be 14 days without a guitar, but I had to take it. And we were on this boat going over to this island, and I put the guitar in a case, and it was about to fall off the edge of the boat. But I was in such a state about it. Like I can't, if I don't practice, it was like childish, immature, rude, unconnected. And then after that, I came back and a few other things happened, and I'm doing lots of gigs, taking them very seriously, taking myself very seriously. You know, I'm sure we've all done it, screaming at yourself in the car, having words of yourself about certain things. And I think a friend of mine just reached out and said, Sam, you just need to, I know you might not feel like you, but it's worth maybe just talking to somebody, getting some kind of counseling or therapy, just to talk to somebody about this who might be able to just kind of help unravel this, because kind of being a jerk.
Wow.
And you're also not being, you're also kind of sabotaging your career. And also, you know, there's people dying in the world with worse problems. Like, come on, just sort your act, learn about your mind, learn how to, you know, the resilience thing. So that's when I went to do that, and that opened up that was about 10. Well, I'd say the start of that was 10 years ago, but that so-called journey has been 7 years to this date now.
Wow,
that's good
I
stuff.
love mindset stuff now, and I'm happier than ever. I love life, but I love getting to play guitar. I love talking to you guys, but it's crazy how something that's meant to be so fun and so trivial, and so, you know, we're not curing cancer, we're not in the military or anything. We're playing guitar,
right?
You know, and we're meant to be bringing joy to people and joy to each other and ourselves. So why all the seriousness? How is it so serious?
Well, I mean, I could never necessarily. No one would ever say that I took myself very seriously, because, like, I just don't. But I am obsessive. You know, it's funny. My wife, speaking of Thailand, she's Thai, and she was, you know, she hears me in the studio, and, you know, I'm out of my mind. You know, and it's one of the, you know, it's why I like to have my cocktails, because it dulls the noise. It dulls the noise, just dulls it in a nice way. Like, you know, I'll be working on a part or trying to get a session off to a client, you know, and I'm calling the computer names that don't exist in the language. And I remember she said something. I was actually editing something, and she goes, you know, process over perfection. She goes, maybe it'll be okay to leave it a little funky. Maybe it'll be like, keep the humanity there. And I remember feeling really good about that. Like, you know, hey, that's right. Yeah, you can do that. But it is a situation where I have to be reminded from time to time, you know, because you know, I can get over the top, where I'm just, you know, hours and hours of, or a lot of it too is also explorations of things, which, what, you know, one of the things that you were saying was getting out of your own way. And, you know, I do that, a lot of that when after I'm done teaching, I'll be working on a concept with a student, you know, and I'll sit out on my deck with just manuscript paper, and I don't even have the guitar near me. And all of a sudden there'll be this, you know, I was working with some Slamisky stuff, and I remember I was like, oh, hold on, wait, what the so now she's hearing me outside going, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. Are you fucking kidding me? That's fucking brilliant. I'm talking to myself. And she pokes her head out, and she's, everything okay? I was like, everything's fucking awesome. You know?